Hi guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Haunt Talk. Today we will be reviewing West Virginia Penitentiary's Dungeons of Horror. As always, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your grandma. She might like it. Who knows? We do have a new short horror film available on Amazon Prime. If you are a Prime member, it's free to watch. If you're not, it's 99 cents. We would greatly appreciate it if you watch it. Let us know what you think. We'd like to have your feedback. If you have any haunts that you want us to check out, comment. Let us know. Maybe we'll go. I don't know. We've been to a lot. We'll try. Alright, so let's get into it. Dungeons of Horrors. Sets and props. Because of all the situation that's going on right now. They did not have some of their things that they had there the year before that we went. Mainly they used to have a really cool slide that you would go, they would actually go outside of the building and would take you downstairs.
Yep.
They did not have that. And they did not have the coffin rides.
Right. Which I really missed the coffin rides.
Yeah.
We weren't sure how much not having these things would affect it. And I will say that it definitely does set them apart and makes them more unique. And not having them did kind of make it a little lesser of experience. And we'll talk about more in value, but they did lower the price a bit this year because they know that not having these things kind of sucks and that people like to come there for it. They did still do the boat ride though.
Yes.
Which they had 2 years ago when we went, which was really cool. That's definitely something that I have not seen in any other place and was cool. Nothing really happens on the boat ride, but it is cool. Like they should have like an animatronic or something like happening in the water.
Well, the first year we went, there was somebody in the water and they did pop up on my side and scare us. This year they had a girl, but she was basically helping you get off of the other side. And she was just kind of like, she was on my side and she was just creepily like standing behind a pole. And then when she got up on the thing, she was like walking around and making all these weird noises. Which it would have been like a little bit cooler if she had actually been in the water doing that. But water.
Yeah, it's really, it's like fog with lasers.
It's just fog and lasers. Yeah, but it's really cool.
Cool fact. Yeah, I mean, it's still really neat. They have a really cool cave that's in there, and we'll talk more about why I'm laughing when we get to actors. But the cave set itself is really cool.
Yes.
It is really weird because some of the sets are like super detailed and like really awesome, and then others kind of look like a fairground haunt.
Yeah.
Like what I mean by that is it's like a black wall and just like some paint.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious that it's just like drywall or like corkboard or whatever. And it's just kind of like, oh.
Yeah, it's like a mixed bag. It's like you go through like this beautiful set and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. And then you turn the corner and you're like,
yeah.
Did 10-year-olds do this? What happened?
It is weird. I don't know if they assign rooms to different people, but it is strange. And it's been that way before. And then sometimes you have parts where you're just like in the prison, which is cool.
Yeah. I
don't think they use that quite enough. I wish they used that a little bit more, like kind of like what Mansfield does.
Yeah.
To actually just put you in the prison and just use the prisoning theme. I will say before all of this, they did do a little differently where they got you on a bus and they took you over and they treated you like a prisoner and they electrocuted you. Now it's back to the way it was the first year where you just walk through the entrance. So I don't know when, like, if next year, you know, if this stuff is over, if they're going to go back to doing it that way. I mean, it seems like picking people up on a bus and taking them all around just to have them enter the other side is a little convoluted and adds extra time and work on their part. I mean, it was a really cool experience, though, and I think it did add something to it, and it did kind of give you the anxiety, though.
Yeah.
So I kind of hope they do that. And then they had, but yeah, and then like they had a really awesome graveyard scene.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But yeah, it seemed like for every really amazing scene, there was something that was just kind of like meh.
Meh.
Like most of the circus stuff that they had towards the end was kind of meh.
Yeah. It was like you have a cool vortex tunnel, but then you just have like splatter paint, and it was like, okay,
yeah,
whatever.
So it is. It's just polarizing how it goes back and forth between being really detailed to just kind of lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, it's still pretty good. There is a good variety, and it is still fun to look at a lot of what they've done. And there were some props that needed some TLC. There were some animatronics and stuff that were falling apart a little bit. And you could definitely tell they were just an animatronic that, I mean, anyone would look at and just go, okay.
Yeah.
Like...
Tiny needs some help.
Oh, yeah, that thing, that lizard monster thing that was, like, just falling apart.
Tiny needs some help.
Yeah. And it's just the thing, like, just remember, like, you don't always have to use animatronics. If something's not working right, it might just be better to put an actor there, just a cool little scene, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Make it a static prop instead, and put an actor in there instead, you know?
You know, or like one of those puppet things. A lot of people go to this place, and I know this year's weird, but I imagine the budget has to be decent for this place to kind of do that with as many people as they get and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but either way, I mean, the sets and props are pretty decent. We gave it a 7.5. You know, it would be higher if they still had some of the interactive stuff that they had in the years past, but this year's just preventing them from doing that. And even though I know it's not necessarily their fault that they don't do these things, so they can't do these things,
yes,
it still makes it a little bit lesser of a show. So next, that brings us into actors. Continuing on with the theme of mixed bag.
Some were really good.
Some was really good. Like the lantern guy that took us in the beginning. He was really creepy and kind of put a chill down my spine.
Yes, yeah, he was really great. He was a great storyteller. The whole thing was just really off-putting. Like,
yeah,
he was very off-putting. Like,
very
I
off-putting.
was like, should we be following this guy? Like,
and to the point where, like, some of the stuff he was saying, like, I'm actually not sure if it was real or not.
Yeah,
it was really creepy.
Yeah. And then there were some that weren't really great.
Oh yeah, the person in the cave.
Oh.
For this haunt likes to be more interactive and more storytelling, where you stop in a lot of scenes and the actors will tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that this night that was playing the role of Dracula in the cave obviously just didn't know what the lines were, and like everything they said sounded like there was a question mark on the end. That's the hole where I keep my souls. And like it was just, it was awkwardly bad. And definitely some of the actors, there's more than just her, but that was one of the ones that stands out, just need to work on making sure they actually know their dialogue.
And look the part.
Yeah.
Like, there were some that were, like, literally wearing, like, a t-shirt
or a cardigan and just with some devil horns.
Yeah, and I'm like, where's your costume?
It just kind of threw you out, and you're like, all right.
Like, I could understand if maybe somebody called out sick and it was last minute, but you
Business
should have...
casual demon.
Yeah, like, you should have, like, a costume. Put a cape on or something. Like...
Right, exactly.
It was weird.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like there's a little bit of padding with the dialogue to, like, kind of make the runtime a little bit longer. Like, some stuff's just meandered on and on to the point where it's like, okay, come on. Like, this is just a little bit silly and a little bit schlocky.
Yeah. That's a good word. Schlocky.
Like I said, so it's a mixed bag. Some are really good, like the guy at the beginning, and there's one girl that was, like, insane and made someone look in a pot. That was cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the crazy kid with the straitjacket. He was really good.
Yeah, that was a good little
scene.
He
was good. The nurse, not so much, but he was really good.
Yeah, he was good. So, yeah, if you're going to do a haunt where the scenes are so dependent on the actor saying a lot of dialogue and stuff like that, they need to know the dialogue and they need to act that a little bit better. You know, if not, switch it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be something that's a little more brutal and a little less speaking and just like a show that you're watching or something. Yeah. there was a lot of, I will say there was a lot of work put in by the actors, you know, and I mean, and they're trying, just like a movie, the actor can only be as good as their script too. So if they're not giving good direction, you know, that could be some of it as well.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say the actors that were there did a pretty decent job, except there were just a couple ones that stood out and just kind of took you out of the atmosphere in the moment, though. And that was the main issue.
Yeah.
But for the actors, we gave them a 7. Like I said, overall, pretty decent. There are a couple really good ones, and there are a couple not so great ones.
All right, moving on. We are at Scare Factor. This one is a little bit different because it's more of a fun haunted house rather than a scary haunted house.
It's not trying to be super scary.
Yeah, because again, like we just said, they kind of tell stories. Like you go into a room and they tell you a story and then you kind of move on. And there might be like a little bit of a scare in there or something like that. Or it's just to creep you out a little bit, you know? Right. It could use maybe a little bit more jump scares.
Yeah, it could use a little bit for being scary. Because you don't have, if that's not what you're going for, you don't have to be scary. But I feel like in some instances they were trying to be scary and it just wasn't working necessarily.
This place did, though, have the best use of a spirit spider. Yeah, it scared the crap out of us.
You don't see that in professional haunts very often, but there actually was a spirit spider like attached to a wall that jumped out and actually did startle us.
I was excited. I'm like, oh my god, a spirit spider scared us.
It was great. And the random like spider cave thing, yeah. So, and the other thing is, like I said, scare factor doesn't necessarily, a low rating doesn't necessarily mean bad. It's just how scary the place was. And I do think this place, so that's a weird thing, is it doesn't seem like it's targeting itself at a family audience. But when you're in there, it feels a little bit more family friendly than maybe it should for the most part.
I mean, it's in a prison. It shouldn't be family friendly. Nobody wants to go to prison with their family. Ew.
Yeah, when you're there, like, it really feels like it's going to be this really intense haunt. And that's not really what they're going for. It's not something like Blood Prison or Eastern State Penitentiary. It's something completely different. It's closer to something like Wells Township, which is basically a neighbor to them in a sense. So, I mean, I would like to see it a little bit scarier. But for Scare Factor, we gave it a 6. He said, So, I mean, that's more of a personal preference thing. So, if you want a haunt, actually, that's not going to be too scary for younger people, this probably wouldn't be too bad of a one to take them to. Especially this year, considering they're not doing a lot of the stuff like the coffin ride, which is a little freaky kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're in an enclosed space and they're banging on it and stuff like that. It's scary, but they're not doing that, so they might be better for, you know, if you have younger ones. So, moving on to value. This one was $20. It took us about 35 minutes or so to get through it, mostly because they did like stop you in a room, tell you a story, and then moved you on. And they did try to space you, because at one point we did catch up. There was somebody in the next room, and the girl was like, oh hey, you need to stay here, I need to like keep you occupied. Like she didn't sugarcoat it at all. She was just like, oh no, you need to stay here for a minute.
Yeah, she literally told us
they're not done on there. Yes.
Like, well,
like,
all right.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, maybe think of a way to not say that exactly. But, and I guess it's usually, I don't remember what we paid last time we were there, but I think it's usually at least $25. So they did lower the price a little bit just because of the fact, as I was saying earlier, they know that there's some things missing that people want. Also, I would say the customer service is pretty good. I had messed up when getting the tickets. I accidentally bought them for a wrong day, but they were nice enough to actually still let us in the night and just adjusted our time. So that was nice. So I will say the customer service, and that was actually pretty good as well. So thank you for that. But yeah, 35 minutes for $20, that's pretty good. It's usually about 10 minutes longer than this too, though, when they have the other stuff. But since that's not there this year, it is a little bit shorter. But 35 minutes is still a good amount of time, but at least 5 to 10 minutes of that is a little bit what I was talking about of padding. Yeah. Of when it's just kind of like dialogue that they're just kind of like diarrheaing at you at points, you know. But still, you're getting quite a bit of haunt for your money, so we gave them an 8.5 for value.
So that brings us to our overall score. For Dungeon of Horrors, we gave them a 7.5.
Yeah. So good, not as good as in years past, but I mean, you know, they can't control all of that, but
Right.
I would just like to see the actors know their dialogue a little bit more, maybe do more practice rehearsal runs, or maybe just change it up a little bit and maybe not do the interactive play elements as much.
Yeah.
You know, maybe just kind of shorten it up. It might make the haunt a little shorter, but I think it would make it a better haunt by doing that.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe you had a different experience than us. If you've been there this year especially, or any other year, let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. Everything Kim talked about at the beginning of the video will be also in the comments. The links to, like, the Amazon video, Samsara, all of that. Yeah, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you guys in the next video.
Bye.